This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Now at 11, another violent weekend. 3 more homicides added to the total for Indianapolis in 2020. We'll show you where they happened and what police know so far. A warning as you head home from your Super Bowl party. Don't let this happen to you. Why a teen is in trouble and an officer is very lucky. And speaking of the Super Bowl, it's been a long time coming for KC. How the Chiefs pulled off a fourth quarter comeback for the ages down in Miami. Thanks for joining us here at 11 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. We want to start with your Storm Team 6 forecast. It is a beautiful Sunday. We're wrapping up a very nice Sunday outside, and Storm Team 6 meteorologist Kyle Mount standing by. Kyle, it was nice to see that sunshine once again.
Yeah, it was great to see the sun, Nicole, and a huge warm-up as a result of that sunshine and those winds out of that southwest direction. They were a little breezy, but we got this out of it. Temperatures making their way into the 60s, and it was a record setter in Indianapolis at 63 degrees. Our last record was 61, set back in 2016. Tonight, temperatures are falling back a little bit, already into the 30s in Terre Haute, but it's 44 in downtown, still in the lower 50s around Columbus and Muncie at 51, and we still have those mostly clear skies in place. We look back to the west around St. Louis, and we do start to see a few of those clouds moving a little bit closer, and by tomorrow morning, I still think we're going to have some sunshine once it comes up there. The wind will be a lot lighter than it was earlier today, and those temperatures will start off in the middle to upper 30s. Coming up, we got a whole lot to talk about in the 7-day planning forecast. More winter warmth, but a midweek wintry mess is coming our way before that February chill returns.
All right, Kyle, thank you. It's been another busy weekend for Metro Police. Gun violence continues to be a problem across the city this year, and now police are investigating 3 more homicides. It began last night when 2 people were shot and killed on the east side of Indianapolis. Police found a man and a woman dead in a yard near 19th and Audubon Road. Their names have not been released. Then today on the west side, after an early morning shooting, a person was dead there. This happened just after midnight on Rockville Road, just east of Holt Road. An officer called to the scene, found a person suffering from a gunshot wound. That shooting victim later died. Their identity has also not been released. And police are still looking for suspects in both of those shootings. If you have any information, you can leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. Tonight, police have not released the names of the suspects arrested after an exchange of gunfire with a police officer. This happened around 7 this morning. IMPD says an officer tried to pull over a suspect near East 10th Street and North Tuxedo Streets. That's when someone inside that car began firing shots at the officers. The officer was not hit and returned fire. No injuries were reported, and police tell us they later arrested the driver and a passenger in that car. And here is your reminder tonight that you should not drive home from your Super Bowl watch party after having too many. Check out these pictures here of an IMPD cruiser that was hit by a drunk driver. Police say a 17-year-old crashed his GMC SUV into the police car Saturday night near East 16th Street and Shadeland Avenue on the east side. Officers say the teen driver was going around 50 miles an hour when he ran a red light, causing that crash. Luckily, neither the police sergeant inside that car nor that teen driver were hurt. At the Super Bowl, it wasn't looking good for the Kansas City Chiefs at their first Super Bowl appearance in 50 years. But in the end, it stirred a comeback led by quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and his offense helped the team make history in Miami. The 49ers appeared to have the game in hand. Former Purdue star Raheem Mostert his 1-yard touchdown run gave them the lead 20-10 into the fourth quarter. But the Chiefs fought back after getting a touchdown. Mahomes finds Damian Williams, who just sneaks in for the go-ahead touchdown. After a 49ers turnover, Kansas City gets an insurance touchdown run from Damian Williams. Kansas City wins 31-21. Mahomes was named the game's most valuable player. And tonight, a dump truck driver is being honored here in Indianapolis for his quick thinking that ultimately helps save lives. In August, William Honey of Greencastle pulled his truck into a construction zone on I-65 near Lafayette Road, blocking a wrong-way driver. The driver was driving in closed lanes approaching construction crews. Honey's quick thinking helped stop the driver as the man, who was later determined to be intoxicated, crashed into the front of his truck.
My co-worker, she called out on the radio, said, hey, there's a police chase going backwards in the construction zone. And I knew that about 100 yards behind me, there was a paving crew, 2 paving crews going side by side. And so I just, I happened to be the right person at the right time. That's all it really was. So I just put my truck in sideways like a barricade, so that way he couldn't go any further.
The state police officer and the construction crew there that night attended today's ceremony, where he was honored at a local union meeting. Honey says his message for the community is please slow down in construction zones, stay alert and off your phone, and do not drink and drive. Tonight, a local food pantry that serves families in need on the Northeast Side is marking their 1-year anniversary, and they are doing so by continuing their work to serve the community. Tonight, our Troy Washington shows us how keeping the pantry open serves a dual purpose in the community.
When the government shut down last year, no questions asked Pantry opened their doors.
This is why we do this. This is why we're here.
Every canned good or meal given out to a family done in memory of Aaron Bailey, an Indianapolis man shot by police in 2017. The shooting caused division in the city, and IMPD officers were cleared of criminal charges. But the pantry's mission keeps his name alive and connected to a positive purpose.
People depend on the pantry.
A year later, the march towards keeping families from being stressed about food continues. Volunteer coordinator Amber Toombs remembers the hunger pains she fought through before putting her pride aside and relying on a food pantry.
I struggled a lot in college, and this is just me wanting to give back.
For Toombs, paying it forward means as advertised, no questions asked.
I think it's just cutting down the barriers for the people who need it the most. With us, just come in and get what you need, no questions asked.
It takes $300 to $500 a week to keep the pantry open. The initiative is going 1 year strong, but it takes continuous effort to stay stocked up. That means donations are needed in order to keep the doors open and serving a desperate need in the city. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. If you want to donate to help the pantry, which is located at All Souls Unitarian Church on East 56th Street, just go to theindychannel.com or the RTV6 News app and click on this story. It's another step toward a place where people can get a hand up. Next, the unique effort to give the homeless a place to stay while they get back on their feet. Kyle.
Showers return on Tuesday, and some areas could see around a ½ inch of rain, but we'll talk about when we'll make the switch to snow. You're watching RTV6 News at 11.
It's terribly exciting. That's why we do it. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Tonight, the effort continues on the city's west side to provide a safe place for people transitioning out of homelessness. In November, we told you about plans to build a tiny house village on South Lyndhurst Drive near Morris Street. Well, today we met with leaders for the Circle City Villages who say they are making progress.
Our church purchased the property several years ago.
For 9 years, this piece of land on South Lyndhurst Drive has been empty.
We've walked this ground and prayed on it and talked to people about what it should be.
Pastor Ben Wakefield with Lyndhurst Baptist Church says the original goal was always to create a space for people experiencing homelessness. There used to be a home here, but it had to be torn down, and the plan fell through.
There's so many people who have been affected by homelessness, either personally or they have family members or friends that have suffered from it. They know that it's something that just doesn't go away by moving homeless people to another location. Something has to be done.
That is why the church decided to donate the land to Circle City Village, a tiny house community aimed at helping those transitioning out of homelessness take the next step.
We thought that was something that would be helpful on this side of town with the increase of homelessness.
We believe that there are a lot of folks in the community that want to support something like this. We know the city has desires to have more units of housing for folks experiencing homelessness, and we'll be able to provide for a number of residents in the coming years in Indianapolis.
The plan is to have 28 tiny houses. The property will be gated with security on site. Residents can stay for up to 2 years, giving them a chance to find employment, go back to school, and ultimately have a safe place to live. But in order to move forward in the zoning and development process, Circle City Village needs to first raise $10,000.
Instead of just building a house, this is a community helping neighbors doing the work of helping end homelessness one little block at a time.
A GoFundMe account has been created to help raise money. If everything goes as planned, they hope to break ground on construction later this year. And we do have a link up right now on the RTV6 app to that GoFundMe page. The estimated total cost of the project is $2 million. They plan on applying for grants and are hoping once the project moves forward, they will receive donor help.
So do I hope you think it's neighborly, for there is no shadow of me. Spring will be early. It's a certainty.
All right, well, there's the prediction from Punxsutawney Phil on this Groundhog Day. An early spring, and Kyle, I think we all like the sound of that, especially after today.
Yeah, we like the feel of it today. We didn't have to wait very long, did we? And we've got some more where that came from. But snow lovers, we got something for them too.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a lot going on over the next 7 days of our forecast. Right now, all is quiet and temperatures still in pretty good shape as we're sitting at 44 degrees. That southwest wind, it's a lot lighter than it was this afternoon, but it's enough that it's holding up those temperatures for us. And tonight, I think we'll only see numbers sliding back into the middle and upper 30s. Most of us still sitting 40s and 50s tonight. 52 in Columbus, Martinsville at 51. You're at 47 in Tipton. There's a look at the clear skies that we have in place. But again, as we go through the day tomorrow, we'll start to see a few more of those clouds building in here, especially as we go toward the lunch hour. Still going to be a dry day, and even though we'll see the clouds, still a decent amount of sunshine in our Monday forecast, and it plans out like this for you. Those temperatures will warm pretty quickly. Once again, we're already into the middle 40s by mid-morning, 53 for the lunch hour, and we'll be close to that 60-degree mark once again. You notice there are the clouds, and still a breeze tomorrow. It's not going to be as gusty, though, as what we had to deal with today. They'll be between about 10 and 20 miles per hour for those southerly winds. That'll get us to 60 in Indianapolis, close, but not quite to another record. 60 in Muncie and Richmond as well. 64 degrees in Bloomington, just a little bit cooler for you in the Lafayette area at 57. Things do change up a little bit as we go into our Tuesday. We're going to see the clouds and a chance for some showers throughout the day. Could add up to about a ½ inch of rainfall, so not any flooding issues for us. But also notice what happens with the temperatures. We'll start off mild in the lower 50s, but actually start to fall through the 40s and eventually into the 30s here as we go into our Tuesday afternoon. So here's a look at TrueCast. Shows that rain that will be moving through the area, the heaviest over the southeast half of the state. Then as the colder air moves in here Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, could have a little bit of a wintry mix. I think this will be fairly light precipitation, but could have some slick spots going into our Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday night, we've got another system we're already keeping our eyes on here. Models vary on exactly how this is going to play out. Model number 1 brings a swath of snow across much of central Indiana Wednesday night into Thursday morning. The other one brings some of that snow, but also a little more of a wintry mix and possibly some freezing rain that could create some more slick spots going into our Thursday. Of course, we'll be updating that forecast for you here as we get a little bit closer. 7 days, though, those temperatures go from mild to more February-like, highs in the 30s, and we'll see that chance for a rain-snow mix lingering into Thursday before things quiet down a little bit going into next weekend.
So I'm looking forward to tomorrow as well, because you're saying it's going to be pretty nice as well.
Another one that's going to be nice, and even though we'll have the clouds, less wind.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Kyle. Well, we will be talking for the next month or so about the bills that are still alive at the General Assembly. But this week, many more pieces of legislation died, and they aren't coming back for now. Our Ray Steele explains in tonight's State House Roundup.
Okay, House will stand in recess at the fall of the gavel at 3:45.
Something in my throat. We're roughly halfway through the General Assembly session, and this was the week where bills would either stay alive or
rest in peace.
Here are some of the many bills that did not get a committee hearing in time to pass during this short session. A bill banning all abortions in the state. A measure to give teachers a bigger paycheck this year instead of waiting for budget negotiations next year. And what's becoming an annual tradition, the last ride for a bill mandating the teaching of cursive writing in schools from Republican Senator Jean Leising. Those proposals could come back as amendments to other bills, but unless they kick out of the tombstone piledriver, it isn't likely. We're one step closer to being banned from holding our phones while we drive. This week, the House passed a hands-free driving bill. There were some objections from those who think it's none of the government's business, but that was countered by those who have lost people they love because someone else was texting and driving.
No one is good at texting or driving or emailing and driving. Driving is a privilege, and that we need to be safe when we're doing it.
The hands-free driving bill is one of Governor Holcomb's top priorities. The competing arguments about marijuana. It's more than just
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
It's about local control. Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears does not want to charge people with simple possession of marijuana anymore. He says we need to have the conversation about how those laws mostly impact people of color. That did not make some Republican state lawmakers happy. They're pushing a bill that would let the state attorney general prosecute crimes if local prosecutors won't. That doesn't make Democrats happy.
I find this bill to be absolutely amazingly wrong.
Leave it up to the prosecutors. There's no reason to have a General Assembly because it will always mean nothing. It would be basically up to one person to decide what the laws of the state of Indiana are.
This week, that bill passed a state Senate committee and now goes to the full Senate. Working for you with State House Roundup, Ray Steele, RTV6.
Ray, thank you. A case that's almost 4 years old, still unsolved. Coming up, how the search for what happened to a Central Indiana woman is being kept alive by a podcast.
Stream it live on CourtTV.com.
It was about day 2 that I was made aware of the story and just kind of jumped into following it just right off the bat.
For more than 3 years, a family has been searching for answers. And in that time, a woman who never knew Angie Barlow has been following along with the case. A true crime podcast that records here in Central Indiana debuted a series exploring the October 2016 disappearance of Angie Barlow. Angie was found dead 8 months later. And to this day, the case remains unsolved. That's why one woman wants to make sure as many people as possible hear Angie's story to find answers, justice, and closure for a heartbroken family. She has shared that pursuit with you and RTV6's Cornelius Hocker.
Once I got involved, there was just no turning back.
Lauren Van Sickle is talking about Angie Barlow, the 23-year-old woman who disappeared in late 2016. Her missing person case turned into a murder investigation in the summer of 2017 after an agonizing 8 months for her friends and family. But Lauren is neither friend nor relative.
I'd never met her ever in my life.
Lauren tells me she and Angie were distantly connected through mutual friends. That's how she first learned of Angie's disappearance. Social media posts from those who knew and loved Angie.
It was about day 2 that I was made aware of the story and just kind of jumped into following it just right off the bat.
From then to now, Lauren continues to bring new light to Angie's unsolved murder, highlighting the case and the locally produced podcast, Crime Pursuit.
So now we're at the point where you've become roommates. So can you tell us about that time? Where was Angie working? What was your day-to-day routine?
There's going to be 3 episodes on Angie's murder. In the first, they discuss how Angie ended up at the last place she was known to be alive, the Landmark Apartments and townhomes on the far north side of Indianapolis.
This would be the first time she would have done a private party for someone she didn't actually know.
Angie was an exotic dancer, working at Club Rio. She had just returned from a costly trip to Florida and needed money. Lauren says the same person who set up this private party had actually tried to set up a similar thing 2 weeks earlier. This time, the arrangement worked out.
She arrived to the home she sent a text and said, here's the address of where I'm at in case I go missing, which sadly turned into a very prophetic message to her friend.
Angie was unsure about going to the private party. The friend she messaged says she begged Angie not to go, but Angie, feeling like she could handle herself, decided to anyway.
We know other people were in that apartment because she walked into that apartment and was comfortable at one point to get changed, take the Snapchat picture, and send it out.
This screenshot from a Snapchat video would end up being the last thing Angie ever shared online.
We don't believe Angie ever left that apartment alive. So we fully believe that night was the last night of her life.
Police haven't said what they believe happened to Angie between 11:30 that night and 3:30 the next morning. That's when Angie's car was recorded by security cameras leaving the Landmark Apartments, followed closely by another car.
One gate opening, like not a pause even to wait for the gate to close, and another car, but I'm talking 2 cars fitting through that gate motion at one time.
Angie was usually in constant contact with her friends, so it was odd when she didn't meet up with them at Club Rio after the party like they planned.
Normally when she did things like this, when she was leaving, she would have called and said, this is how much money I made in tips. Like, it went really well.
One of her friends became extremely worried the following afternoon, more than 16 hours since anyone had heard from Angie. That friend eventually called her parents to let them know something was up.
They're literally some of the strongest people I've ever met.
This began an 8-month ordeal for Angie's family. Posting on Facebook, putting up billboards, banners, and flyers, pleading with the public for any information that could help them find their loved one. They talked to RTV6 several times after Angie disappeared, including right after it was confirmed that the body found buried behind this home was indeed Angie's. Police did interview the people who invited Angie to dance at their party. However, at that time, it was just a missing person case. So even though the things they told detectives didn't add up, police say they need more evidence before they can make any arrests.
Maybe you didn't know what you were being made to do. Maybe not all participants did this willingly. You could have been forced. If that's the case, law enforcement needs to hear that. People need to hear that. You make contact to Christina, correct?
That's why Lauren says she's doing this podcast and will keep sharing Angie's story. She knows there's someone out there who could give police the information they need to bring closure to Angie's friends and family.
You cannot run from this forever. And what happens in the dark always comes to light.
That was our Cornelius Hawker reporting there. Well, so far, IMPD hasn't released any new information about Angie Barlow's case, other than to say if anyone out there knows something about what happened to Angie, to get in contact with them. We'll be right back with one final check of your forecast after this break.
Breakfast sausage biscuit, now at Hardee's.
It's the debate we'll be having into tomorrow. What was the best Super Bowl commercial? Everyone has their own opinions, but given what day it is today, perhaps the folks at Jeep had the best idea.
Safety first. It's not personal. It's just a game. Not a bad day, huh?
How can you go wrong with Bill Murray bringing back scenes from Groundhog Day, the movie almost 27 years after it premiered? Yeah, that's a good idea, for sure.
It is, and I think we'd be all right if we had today's weather over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
At least for the next several days. Tomorrow we'll get highs back around 60 again. The rain moves in here early in the day on Tuesday. Then Tuesday night, a little bit of a wintry mix, and then another one comes our way into Wednesday night. Thursday morning, possibly some light accumulation. Snow there as highs are back in the 30s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Have a great night.